Well, good evening and welcome to our panel discussion. I've got 4 Christian college and university colleagues from around the country with me. My name is Chant Thompson. I'm the executive director of NACAP. And we're glad that you've joined us this evening. Here in the East, it's 10 o'clock Eastern time this Thursday night. And depending on where you're at, we just appreciate you joining us. I am going to introduce these folks to you, and I'm going to let them tell who they are and where they're from. And we hope to just enjoy the next hour together talking about the exciting things going on at Christian colleges and universities around the country. So we have Ryan Spear from Houghton College in Houghton, New York. We have Dave Emerson from Cornerstone University, which is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We have Stephanie Wilstetler from Bethel University in Mishawaka, Indiana. Just sister city there to South Bend, Indiana, in the northern part of the state. And then also have Serena Campbell from San Diego Christian College. And I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Why don't you tell us one great thing about your university and explain what your role is there? And let's start with Rina. Let's go in reverse.
Hi, my name is Serena Campbell. I'm the Dean of Enrollment Management at San Diego Christian College. I've been here at the institution for 3 years now, but I've been in Christian higher ed for 20 years. This marks my 20th year because I started in 2000 in admissions, and I absolutely love my job. And it is fantastic to be able to serve students and families such as yourself. I think the best thing about our college is just the way that we're able to care for our students and their families, the way we're a smaller institution. So it's just great to be able to get to know our students individually and be able to walk them through and guide them through their 4 years at our college.
Well, thank you, Rina. Stephanie?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Wilstetler. I am the Director of Admission at Bethel, which pretty much means I go to meetings while the rest of my team gets to hang out with families and tell them all about Bethel. But I have been at Bethel for 15 years now, and all within the world of admission. So I think my favorite thing about Bethel is that we stay true to our mission statement. It says that we are a Christian community of learners. And Bethel is so much about, we're unapologetically Christian. We welcome students who are open, wanting to learn. We're a community that builds each other up. And we love to see people learning and growing no matter where they start.
Well, thank you. Dave.
Well, good evening, everybody out there. My name is Dave Emerson, and I serve at Cornerstone University. We are in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So just on the west side of the state, and I've been working in admissions for about 16 years now. I serve as the Director of Admissions, but I also get the joy of working with our international students. So I do get to rub shoulders with families and students, but I love when families visit campus and talk with them about Cornerstone and the benefits of Christian higher education. I think, Rina and Stephanie kind of stole my thunder a little bit, so now I got to think of something different, but that's okay because there's lots of great things. I love the location of our university. Grand Rapids, Michigan is one of the best mid-sized cities in the US, and it just has opportunities for everything that our students are looking for, whether it's internships or churches to be involved with, coffee shops, you name it. So we have a great location as well in terms of where our university is located. So I'm gonna go with that today.
Well, thank you, Dave. Ryan?
Hi, Ryan Spear. I'm at Houghton College, which is in Western New York State. So if you're trying to locate where we are, we're closer to Buffalo, Rochester than we are to New York City, although we are just a half day's drive from a lot of wonderful places. We can get to Toronto, Canada within 3 hours, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, all within a day's drive. So I'd say what I really enjoy about Houghton, I'm a Houghton alum myself, so it's very easy for me to talk positively about Houghton. Of course, I love the people. I'm often guilty of just chatting up our student workers because they're just such interesting people and they have such great goals, and it's a lot of fun for me to hear what they're doing, what God is doing in their lives. What's probably most unique about Houghton is our location. We are on 1,300 acres. So while we are within a half day's drive, a lot of really great places, we have a lot of trees, a lot of acreage. I just talked to a student from Arizona who's one of our student workers, and she's like, yeah, this is a very different than where I'm from. So we enjoy the ability we have to have things like an equestrian center. We have not one, but 2 disc golf courses on campus. So along with the academic offerings, we have a great chance to enjoy God's creation every day.
Wow, I've got to plan a visit to Western New York soon, Ryan.
We haven't yet figured out how to combine the horsemanship with the Frisbee golf, but we're working on that.
All right. One of the things we'd like to encourage our listeners and our participants tonight, as we talk about, all the neat things about Christian colleges and universities, we would encourage you to use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and you can pose questions that this distinguished panel will make every effort to respond to. And if we run out of time and don't get to your question, we'll give you some avenues at the end of our time together tonight to follow up with those questions, because we're here to try to serve you in the best way that we possibly can. One of the things I'd like to ask each of you to respond to is there's a lot of emphasis on distinctives and what makes your campus maybe not unique so much, but it is a distinctive program, or it is something that has really met the needs of students in the marketplace we find ourselves in today. People look to how can they differentiate between your schools. And Dave, I'm gonna start this with you in terms of Cornerstone. You've painted a great picture of one of the nicest mid-sized cities in the country in Western Michigan. But what stands out programmatically at Cornerstone University?
Yeah, I think the one I'd like to talk about a little bit tonight specifically is for our honors students maybe out there, some of our high achieving students. Cornerstone started a unique honors program about 3 years ago called our Creativity and Innovation Honors Institute, or CIHI. And what that basically is, they did a survey in terms of what was kind of one of those things that grads are lacking out in the workforce. And it was this idea of creativity and innovation. Employers weren't seeing that. And so we developed this really unique program at Cornerstone where students are able to get a double major in creativity and innovation and their major of choice. There's no core for them. It's a whole separate core that's tied into the CIHI program. It's all experiential learning. There's no tests in the program. Design thinking, learning creative habits. our students just rave about it. And so I'd encourage families out there who are maybe looking at a different type of honors program. No one else is doing anything like it, to definitely check us out. Look on our website. We have a few honors preview days coming up that would love for you to attend, chat with some of our professors. But in terms of distinctive things that Cornerstone's doing that we don't find that anybody else is really doing anything like that, I'd definitely say check out our Chi-Hi program.
Thank you, Dave. Steph, I'm curious in terms of, certainly I've been on your campus many times and have a great appreciation for Bethel University, but if you were to highlight something, what would you bring to the forefront?
Yeah, I think there are a number of academic programs that we could talk about. The nursing program that quite often has 100% pass rate on the NCLEX. They just have a strong program. Sign language interpreting, you don't see a lot of places. But I think the one I want to highlight is just engineering. So you can take two different paths. So engineering and management, if you want to stay somewhere small town and kind of be within the engineering world, but also be the boss and need to make the orders and be part of the business world as well. So that's the 4-year degree here on campus. And then our engineering 3-2 program is where you'd spend 3 years on Bethel's campus and then 2 years at Notre Dame. And so after your first year there, you get a degree from Bethel. And after your second year, you would earn your degree from Notre Dame. So they're about 10 minutes away. So we work well together.
That's great. Thank you. Ryan, on those 1,300 acres and the equestrian program and disc golf and that, what's one thing that would be a highlight for the Houghton College experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I already alluded to the equestrian program, and that's a 4-year degree program. So we're among very few colleges in the nation, period, that have one, let alone Christian colleges. So that's a great opportunity, a brand new indoor riding arena as well. It's beautiful. A great chance for students to continue to grow and develop, whether as competitors or those who want to go into the management side or therapeutic side of equestrian. It's quite flexible. Often students are pairing it with other degrees as well. If they see themselves going into therapeutic capacities, perhaps psychology, if they see themselves more as a manager of an equestrian facility, a business is a great pairing, but it is a standalone program as well. So that's a great thing. We also have some pretty unique programs and things like data science. We have our own center for data science as well. So while we do have beautiful acreage to enjoy, we also put a lot of emphasis on the emerging fields as well. And I'm told that the computers that they use in data science are at the same level as tie-in graduate programs. And so we put a large emphasis on supplying our students with industry standard equipment and in-demand programs. Data science is great because, of course, it's very much in demand, but also we're encouraging students to think of the ways they can use data science for good. For nonprofit situations or ways in which data can help us understand how to bring things to people and communities, whether on small scales or on a global scale as well. So yeah, a lot of really interesting offerings. Every school has kind of really unique niche things, and part of the joy of being a student is discovering those.
Okay, and Rina?
Perfect. Sorry about that. Wasn't able to unmute. I think the best thing that San Diego Christian has to offer is our aviation program. We actually have an regional airport about 1.5 miles away from campus. So people will use that. We have a flight school tied to one of the to the airport. And so you're able to take the ground courses on our actual campus, and then flight is done at the flight school, which, like I said, is 1.5 miles away. It is pretty remarkable because we have students that go into and get hired into commercial flight for Southwest and Delta and all the major airline carriers right after college, right out of college. And then we also have people going into unmanned aerial systems, so drone technology from General Atomics, and they can start making six figures right out of college. And then we have people also going into a missionary pilot. So we're able to combine our emphasis with biblical studies and our commercial and private pilot flight into helping with missionary pilots. So it's a really remarkable program, and we're one of the very few Christian colleges that offers such a robust aviation program.
Well, thank you all. We have one question in the Q&A, and just want to be responsive to that. If there's a student that has learning challenges and has qualified for accommodations in high school, what would your campuses have to offer in response to that student's needs? And anybody can respond, so feel free just to jump in.
At Bethel, we have the Center for Academic Success. So they have a team that is used to working with students, everything from those who need help with learning how to take notes and need a quiet space to take a test and spend a little longer there. They also hire students to be tutors. So if you've gotten an A in a course, then you can tutor other students, and the professor has to say, hey, you know this. And so, I mean, everything from just helping the student from day one. And I think as much as you're open about the assistance that you need, a lot of our schools will have something to help serve you.
Okay.
I actually have a daughter. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rina.
I actually have a daughter who's on an IEP in her junior high school. And so I know a lot about learning accommodations. It has really helped her succeed. And I think sometimes there's a stigma with wanting to seek out help from your student because they kind of want to start fresh. But I want to remind them that it's not something to be embarrassed about. And in fact, it's just a different way of learning for them. And so I really encourage your student to go and seek out the resources. I think each of our colleges have resources set up to take the IEP or the 504 plan that is laid out in high school and implement that into the classroom, and has probably a center that works with, similar to what Steph was talking about at Bethel, has preparations and people to help them succeed in the classroom, whether it's a physical disability or a learning disability or anything else that requires accommodations. So I would really suggest that you seek those people out, and then missions process, and they can help you connect you with the right office.
Yeah, one thing I was going to add is we encourage families when they schedule visits, and I'm sure every campus would do this, to work with the office that provides that support. So even as a student, maybe even your junior year of high school, you can already start making connections with some schools and discovering which school is really going to have the resources and fit the kind of learning style that best suits that student. So I know all of our institutions are really more than happy to have you talk to the right people in the right offices and have you understand from the very beginning, even help guide you during your senior year of high school in terms of what things you could be doing to prepare and get connected with those resources.
I would also note that we do have a special virtual session on December 7th that is committed to involving the NACAP member colleges and universities that focus in terms of special services to meet the needs of students who've had accommodations. And we would encourage you certainly to join us that day, that evening, as those schools will be highlighting how they best meet the needs of students that have challenges. So appreciate the question. And that fair again is on December 7th. Let me shift. Obviously, there's been a lot of focus on COVID-19. And as we've been living with this now for a number of months, and each of your campuses has had to significantly adjust. Everything from how do you recommend students visit if they've not visited your campus currently? What precautions have you taken? Maybe you've modified your calendar, and there's a whole host of adjustments there. And again, I will let anybody that would like to offer up. You know, there's certainly days when we all would like to just close our eyes and hope that COVID-19 will go away and pray to that end. But our campuses have worked hard to respond to the pandemic and also offer a quality educational experience with a lot of adjustments. So anybody want to respond to that?
I can. In terms of campus visits at Cornerstone, like Chant said, we did have to kind of flex a little bit and be creative and think through, you know, how are we going to get families on our campus to visit and check out our schools, and what new platforms can we utilize. I think everybody's probably a little zoomed out, but you know, what other ways can we get in front of prospective students? We are allowing campus visits at Cornerstone, but we are limited with the number of families that we can have. So we're kind of booked out a little ways yet, but you know, normally we'd have big, large visit days on Fridays, and we just can't do that anymore. We have to limit the numbers on campus. But you know, while families are on campus, we do everything we can to make sure that we're abiding by all the CDC guidelines and the state of Michigan guidelines, and wearing masks and appropriate, you know, social distancing, and kind of doing some self-guided tours, but really making sure families have a good sense of the university. Much like other schools, we've really tried to amp up our virtual spaces as well on our website, our virtual tours and that kind of thing. So, you know, if you are on the other side of the country and can't make it to Michigan anytime soon, you know, that's a great way to kind of check out the campus as well. I'm sure a lot of the other schools would say the same things, but those are just a few things that we've been doing.
We're very similar to Dave. We're offering virtual visits as well as on-campus visits. We did shut down for a time back in the spring, but we opened up for visits in May. And as soon as we came back into the office, we had a brand new welcome center ready to welcome visitors into. So we're still a little bit limited, but our welcome center gives us some space to meet with students and bring some other faculty and coaches in to meet with them in our space. So we've still been able to give campus tours with students hosting those. The only thing we're kind of limited on with tours is we can't go in the residence halls these days. And that's a little hard, you know, you want to see where you're living. And so we've tried to take some good pictures and show you what we can for now. But there are pros and cons to being able to use a virtual visit. You get to see the videos inside the residence halls, you know? So we're excited to welcome people on campus though, and glad that we can still do that.
Well, thank you. Any other comments? We do have another question in the Q&A that I can move to. Does attending events and engaging in correspondence with people on college campuses, in your offices, with you personally, does that increase a student's chances of getting accepted? Or is that just an enhancement to the other processes that you go through as you review a student's profile?
Yeah, so it's always great to know that a student is interested, and that's a fairly common question. Some schools report, does stated interest impact likelihood of being admitted? And colleges do always want to know, is this someone who's serious about my institution? Or is this someone who's applying to, 20 schools, wanting to get just as many acceptance letters as possible? That doesn't happen a lot, but we've all heard stories at admission of these random competitions that pop up. But if you're trying to like game the system of thinking, if I pretend or show my interest, I would just encourage you to really authentically show your interest in the schools you're interested in. If you're exploring, it's okay to be honest with the school and let them know kind of where you're at and the things you'd hope to learn and the things you like about that school and the things that might be hurdles or obstacles that you would want to enlist our help to help you address. So some people love our 1,300 acres. They love Houghton's rural location, but a question might be, hey, am I really going to like it given my own background? I'm sure there's tons of questions like that at other schools. So I generally encourage students to be authentic, be real with us so that we can help you the most answer the questions that'll help you determine if our school is going to be the right fit for you. But that's why I started working at admission, is I liked working with people and not staring at screens all day. So much like Steph, it's one of the sad things about stepping into new roles is you get to work less with people. But yeah, our team really enjoys meeting with people. My only encouragement is don't use that as an opportunity to game the system, but to just authentically reach out and let us help you make a decision that's going to be the best fit for you.
So true. Your admission counselor is your best advocate on campus. So the more they know you, the more they can fight for you a little bit too. Mm-hmm. But if one of our schools says, you know what, why don't you go to a community college for a year? It's because we know that you need that jump start to really be successful. We don't want you to come here and fail. We want you to come here and succeed. And so we're going to make our best effort to help you do that.
In that vein, often students and parents want to know, what can a student do to stand out? I mean, certainly this question is asking in terms of, the initiatives you take, but what are some of the best ways that students can differentiate themselves from the pack, from, all of the people who are applying to your campus? And I mean, we're an organization of schools, and Christian colleges are generally very welcoming, but how can a student distinguish themselves with you?
I think that a lot of the Christian colleges are making different pathways to get to know our students now that we don't get to necessarily see you all in person. And San Diego Christian, for example, we have a lot of students out of state. We have a lot of even international students. So what we've been doing is some more interviews through Skype and through Zoom and things like that. So we get to know the student a little bit more, get to answer their questions. We'll do an on the spot virtual tour. So we'll take a camera and show them around campus of things they might be interested in. But I know a lot of colleges are making different ways for students to get to know the campus, and for the admissions counselor, like Stephanie said, to get to know the students, because they are going to be your best advocate, your admissions counselor. And I know there are some other colleges like Westmont. I know they're doing interviews for every student. We are doing some interviews at San Diego Christian for those students that we may have some additional questions for. And so that might be something that you ask your admissions counselor, whatever institution you're interested in applying to, is, hey, is there, if there's a special question or something that you want to highlight about yourself, that there's a way to do that either through a personal statement or an interview.
I would echo everything that was said. I mean, be actively engaged in the process. The admissions folks want to know what's distinctive about you. They want to know, to get to know you and not just another applicant that's in a file. And this can really benefit you even later on in the year when it's financial aid time, because like Steph said, they are your advocate. And if I know an applicant who really went out of his or her way to distinguish themselves. I know they're going to be a perfect fit at my institution. I'm going to try to do whatever I can to make it affordable for them if finances are an issue. So that can play in your favor by being engaged in the process as well.
I would add, I mean, and sometimes it's okay to have fun. So if you're writing your college essay or personal statement, what would be something you'd want to read? I think sometimes people put a lot of pressure on themselves to write, the quote perfect essay, but sometimes it turns into pretty formulaic if you just follow what everybody else is doing. So we have a lot of fun in our admission office when someone's taken some time to have fun, just really let themselves shine through. Still be professional, of course. But those are the ones that often stand out. And not that it ups your chances of being admitted tenfold, but it is an indication of, let your authentic self shine through, who you really are and not what you think we want you to say.
Thank you for those comments. One of the scariest things is, how am I going to make this work from an affordability standpoint? And Dave, you alluded to that. And Rina, you spend a good bit of time in the financial aid and financial services area. Let's talk a little bit about getting over the fear of financial aid and navigating that journey as you anticipate, obviously, selecting schools that you want to apply to, and then hope that you'll be admitted, and talk about that process. And Rina, I'll start with you, and then others can fill in things that they've learned over the years.
Sure. So yes, I really enjoy working with families through the financial services process. So each and every student, the first step is to do your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. And it opened up on October 1st, and you want to get that done as soon as possible. So right now you're going to need your 2019 taxes completed. You parents who are out there, you're going to need to have that information readily available so you complete the FAFSA. And each state is going to have a different requirement for a date of probably when they want you to have it done. So for California example, our magic date is March 2nd. So there is a possibility of earning a Cal Grant in our state, which is worth up to almost $11,000 per year for all 4 years. If you apply by that deadline, that March 2nd deadline. So you're going to want to ask, if you go to Houghton, is there a New York deadline? If you go to Bethel, is there an Indiana, deadline? So you're going to want to ask those different questions of your financial aid office. And I think what Dave was talking a little bit about, and Ryan, is like, if you are really wanting to go to a particular college and you're like, this is the one, like your student comes up to you and says, this is the one, like I really want to come here. Express that to your financial aid person, express that to your admissions counselor, because they're going to want to advocate for you. They're going to want to help you through that process. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing a family who really wants to be at the college and being able to figure out how to make it affordable for them. I think you would be surprised that a private school education can be very affordable. In fact, every one of our students at least gets some form of scholarship to attend to our college. And then a lot of times we have other institutional aid besides just what's on your FAFSA that's given by the federal or state government that we're able to supplement. But, we have a lot of people who are very, I would say, scared to go through the process of, they see the sticker price. I think you'll look on our college websites, and a lot of us have some pretty high costs out there, but we also have very generous financial aid packages. So I wouldn't let that deter you from exploring more about how you be able to afford colleges. A lot of them also have payment plans. Don't let loans scare you. There is reasonable loan limits. Right now, for example, There are no loans, no student loans are accruing interest because of COVID through the end of December. And then this year's loan rate is only a 2.75 for an unsub loan. So you defer the paying back of your loan for 6 months until after you graduate. But this year is at an all-time low of 2.75%, which is over the lifetime of your loan, very, very small accrual. We're talking about maybe several $100s on that borrowed money. So you want to think about that. That loans, I know, is a very tricky word because I think a lot of people are really scared about getting into debt. But if you have to take out a loan, there are some few things that you really want to probably get a loan for. And maybe the top two are going to be your education and home. And then maybe if you have to, a car, but besides that, those are the things that you really want to focus your loans on.
I think financial aid, there are a lot of misconceptions. People are scared of it. They get confused by it. The more you Google something, the more confused you're going to be. So I think just how we talked about the admission counselor is your best advocate. They can answer a lot of financial aid questions, but don't be afraid to just call and ask. Send an email, read your mail. I know sometimes we're like, oh, we're sending out mails or emails and we're not sure if people are reading them. Those financial aid letters really explain a lot. So I think being able to sit down and listen, financial aid is just going through the steps. There may be a lot of steps and they may be kind of tricky in some points, but as long as you're willing to ask questions, we'll help you get through it.
Let's shift gears to intercollegiate athletics. Each of your campuses engage in a fairly robust program of intercollegiate athletics. Is the admission process different for student athletes? Should they focus their attention on coaches as opposed to admissions counselors? What would your advice be to this high school student athlete that desires to play at the collegiate level and has shown at least some inclination that coaches would be interested in?
I would say if you love to play a sport and you're halfway decent at it, connect with the coach and see if there's room for you. I played softball here at Bethel, and I mean, it's another family on campus, and you really get to know those people and be involved. In terms of admission, at least at Bethel, there's not a separate admission process for athletes, but I think it is really important, especially during COVID times. There are a number of campuses that have gone test optional. And so you have to remember that, like in the NAIA, you have to meet 2 of 3 criteria. So you need to meet your GPA, your class rank, or test scores. So if your school doesn't rank, you automatically need test scores. So that's important to remember. If the admission office doesn't require test scores, you may still need them for athletics.
Yeah, and as Steph alluded to, athletics, there's different conferences. I mean, a lot of people put emphasis on like, I'm going to play D1, but you really need to think about what kind of actual playing experience you want to have, because there's different great organizations like NAIA, Division III, knowing which schools do and do not give scholarships. So there are some probably great resources in your own community to ask. My word of caution, I know some people just feel like playing D1 sports is the be all end all, but I've known some people who have gone D1 and they didn't have a good experience. Yes, they got on the team, but they didn't have the chance to play a lot. So for some people, if you're performing at a really high level, that could be a really great opportunity. That could be a great, dream to fulfill after a lot of hard work. That's awesome. But, talk to athletes, talk to different coaches, and find the right organization. It might be NAIA, it might be NCAA, and you'll find yourself a good home in the process. And coaches are a great resource to help you understand what the steps look like. But there are some nuances and there are some differences between Division I, II, and III recruiting. And you'll want to talk to your high school coach or community resources just to understand some of those nuances of some of the do's and don'ts, some of the timing, of how and when coaches can contact you, etc. There's a lot of great resources out there to help you discover that, though.
Going back to that affordability question too, you know, athletics is a great way to maybe get an additional scholarship or two if the university is allowed to offer scholarships. And you may not be a D1 athlete. You might think maybe I'll make a JV squad. A lot of schools have JV programs as well that also offer scholarships. So I had a student last year who wasn't even thinking athletics and played in high school, but didn't think college was for her. But there was an opening for a team manager on the women's basketball team, and I thought she'd be great for that. And you know, she was able to get a little bit of financial help for that and kind of still have that athletic experience. So you just never know. Like Ryan said, ask the questions of the coaches for sure.
People want to know what they're getting for their investment. If you were to speak to the value of a Christian education, what do you share with people, or what questions do you ask students to get at that understanding of the value of why it's important to consider a Christian college or university?
I think there's a lot of value in just the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Making Christian friends, you have an opportunity for fellowship everywhere you look. You're making relationships with students, faculty, staff, coaches that are going to last you the rest of your life. So it's special to be able to connect with people relationally and spiritually. And you can get involved a lot on a small campus and just be able to meet a lot of those people that are going to have an impact on the rest of your life.
That really resonates with me. I went to a NACAP school, and my best friends are people that are still in my life. And I'm the age of most parents. I'm 44. So most of my friends all have kids going into college, and we still connect. Our kids we've been in each other's weddings. We've been at the birth of each other's children. We've seen them grow up, and some of our students are now going to colleges with each other. So it's like a second generation. So it's really fun, and it really does make an impact on those friendships that you form at that level are lifelong relationships. I have those relationships not only with students, but with fellow staff members, and some of them are colleagues because we work in admissions. So there's people that my admissions counselor ended up being my boss for a while when I started in admissions work. So it's just crazy, like the doors that it opens for Christian education. And even if you don't do something that's directly correlated with a Christian flavor to something, I think it really impacts the way that you're going to treat people and the way that you do. Let's just say if you're going to be a business major, the way that you do it, the ethics behind it, or the way that you're integrating your faith into whatever you do. If it's engineering, like Steph was saying at Bethel, and you do that engineering major, you're going to do it ethically, and you're going to do it with that spiritual component of that integration into that engineering major. And that lens that God provides is amazing in every aspect of your life. And it influences and impacts the way you are as a human and as you are as a Christian in this world. And I think that's something that's hard to replicate at a larger or at a secular school.
Yeah, I was at a conference that Christian admission professionals attend at Lee University a few years ago, and it's a NACAP member school, and their president shared something that really struck me. This is only a few years ago. He pointed out to us as Christian admission professionals that when students choose to go to a Christ-centered institution, they're going to be at a place where the overwhelming majority of staff and faculty, if not all of them, are actively praying and encouraging that student's spiritual growth. And that really hit me in a profound way to say, oh my gosh, I could guarantee that almost every student who steps through our doors is going to be prayed for and encouraged daily to become more of who God wants them to be. And I know God goes with everybody regardless of where they attend. I mean, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law did not attend a Christian college. They're now workers in they're missionaries overseas. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be in God's will if you do that. But there is something really powerful and special about knowing that the kind of people you're surrounding yourself with really want you to become who God is calling you to be. My pastor's kid side is showing now, but the idea of who are we conforming ourselves to be? And that takes a lot of reflection on your own part and some wisdom on your own part, and maybe asking some people in your life some tough questions to say, hey, what kind of setting do you think I will thrive in? And being willing to listen to them and say, I do think it's a good fit for me to go here or there. Not that only strong Christian people should be the only ones who go to a non-Christian college. That gets complicated. But just really reflect on that and where God might be leading you, because there's something really vital about that. I can't underscore enough, on every visit day, I share a quote by Bill Gates, because if the most successful, wealthiest man, arguably, in America by worldly standards, he was asked to reflect on what most mattered to him in life. And he didn't say, I wish I had made different business investments or choices. He talked all about relationships. He talked all about the friendships he wished he invested more time in. So think about that. As someone who has no earthly wants, his regrets or his thoughts are about relationships he would have wished to have invested more time in. So I cannot underscore that enough. That it's not simply icing on the cake. It really is a vital thing that is special to Christian colleges.
We talk to families a lot about fit and finding the best fit. And we've spoken a lot in the last few moments about relationships. And Steph, you talked about when you played intercollegiate softball, that became an additional family as part of the community. But certainly college is learning and challenge and investment in people. But how does a student explore the best fit for them?
I think each student has, sorry.
Go ahead, Rina.
I think every student has something that they really want to focus in on in college, in a way that they want to grow. And I would take that passion and those thoughts and explore the different opportunities out there at different colleges and see which one might be a good fit. And I know it's hard when you might not be able to possibly go to each of the colleges that you're interested in. But I'm in the college search with my daughter right now. And I think the most important thing is that she's kind of looking at the different majors, trying to get a feel for what the campus is like through the pictures and through the conversations she's having with her admissions counselor. And for me, I just feel like she's going to find that community in perhaps her major. She's also very likely to find people with similar interests. And I think for some people, personality plays a big part. So I think a Christian college is great. A smaller campus is great in the fact that a lot of times people that may not be as gregarious or outgoing don't slip through the cracks. And I think that's an amazing thing, that there is a place for each person with each personality at a different campus. And it's just getting through those different questions and exploring the different opportunities to figure out what's the best fit for you or your child.
I think it's so important, if you came to visit, you want to walk onto a campus and just say, oh, it feels like home. And like as admission members, we want you to leave with no question unanswered. So I know Ryan was talking about the quote he gives on visit days. I like to challenge people when they're visiting, that when they go up with a student tour guide or they're talking to one of our counselors, I'm like, hey, try to stump them. Like, we're all here to learn, whether you're a student or you work on campus. And so find the place that you can learn, find the place that you can keep growing. like Chant was talking, your education's an investment. So, I mean, you're worth investing in. So find a place that'll invest in you.
I'm an analogy person, so the simple analogy that helps me understand it is sometimes I think students might feel overwhelmed choosing a college, like thinking about not just what kind of restaurant they want to go to, but what specific meal they're going to eat. And sometimes I think it's okay to say, well, look for a restaurant that has the kinds of things that you know you'll like, right? Like you don't need to figure out exactly the exact meal you're going to have, which means, you know, your major, the exact college. Like think about the things you say, well, I like the location of that restaurant. I like the kind of food they have. I like the kind of music they play there. So it becomes kind of a overall decision. So it might be help you at times if you're stressing about the fit question, is to think about it in a different context. Think about other things, other decisions you've made, and you're like, oh yeah, I think I can use a similar approach there. But again, not to get too theological here, but I believe that God's will is more of like a circle than a straight line. And I believe that students could be very successful going to any number of Christian colleges. And it's more a matter of kind of discovering where you feel a sense of resonance, feel a sense of home, and knowing that that's a good reason and a valid reason to choose a school.
I've never forgotten one of our member school presidents said to me that the first question you should ask a student is, who is the person that God is helping you to become, rather than what is it that you want to do or what is it that you want to major in. And I've never forgotten that, because I thought I need to shape my interaction with students differently, because they're desirous of somebody walking that journey with them, and they look to admissions people as experts. I mean, this is what you do. If you were to give a word of advice to underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores, upperclassmen, junior, senior, what would you want to communicate to them that they ought to be thinking about when they approach the college exploration process?
I think the obvious one is take your academics seriously. So starting your freshman year, we see all your grades, and they have a big impact on getting into college, getting that great scholarship and things like that. But I think outside of that, like, challenge yourself, find out things that you're passionate about, and then find that school that will help you develop your passion.
Yeah, I would. Prayer can never be underestimated. You know, and I can't stress that enough with students. God will lead you where he wants you to go. But pray, visit, take advantage of the opportunities. College is what you make it to be. You know, all of our colleges out there have a lot of the same things, but if you don't take advantage of any of those things, it's not going to help. I see that sometimes I'll see college students get from their freshman to senior year, and they're completely different people because they took advantage of all the different things that the school had to offer them. And they're the ones that are going to thrive, and they're the ones that are going to go out into the world and make a difference for Christ and his kingdom. And you know, that's what Christian higher ed's all about. So that'd be my advice.
It's hard to put a price tag on relationships that are going to last a lifetime. And each of you have referred to that this evening in your own special way. Our attendees out there, are there questions you would like to ask? We've got a few minutes left, and you've got these distinguished folks from around the country, and we can talk about the value of Christian higher education for hours if you turn us loose, and That might scare you, but are there questions that you have you want to put in the Q&A? And while you're thinking about that, I would say we would encourage you to go to our student exploration website, myblueprintstory.com. You can put in and search any of these 4 schools or any of the actual couple hundred other Christian colleges and universities across the country that are part of NACAP. And you can put in variables and search that based on size, location, program offerings, and get information in terms of contacting each of these campuses. And as Stephanie alluded to just a few moments ago, these folks work very hard and they don't want you to leave with unanswered questions. They want you to exhaust the things that you wonder about. There is another question in the Q&A, and that's could we have some contact information for each of you, because it would be really helpful. Okay, we have not prepared a slide, but Ryan, if people wanted to contact Houghton College and wanted to contact you, what would they do?
The simplest thing would probably just be go to houghton.edu. All of our campuses have places where you should be able to quickly click a request for information link. But you can always use our good old friend Google. And if you search Ryan Spear Houghton College, you'll probably find my employee page, which has a contact me link. True for any of us here. So if you have fast fingers, take a screenshot. If it's us in particular you want to chat with, that's a great way. But most of us probably have sites where you can connect directly with an enrollment advisor or admission counselor that's unique to your territory, lots of other factors. But yeah, houghton.edu for me.
Okay, Dave, how about you?
Cornerstone.edu or admissions@cornerstone.edu will get to me too. Or anything Ryan mentioned.
Wonderful. Steph, how about at Bethel University?
We are betheluniversity.edu, and you have to be kind of specific because we're in Indiana. There are some other Bethels around the country, but you can email admissions@betheluniversity.edu or just go to the website and click on Begin Your Journey.
Begin your journey. Very good. Rina, how about you?
Go to our website, sdcc.edu, as in San Diego Christian College.edu, and you'll find all the information you need about admissions. And if you do admissions at sdcc.edu and just put hi Rina on it, I will get that message.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, it is almost the top of the hour. We thank everybody for participating tonight. Thank you to the 4 of you for your expertise and your passion for Christian higher education. Thanks everybody attending. Be certain to look at other opportunities to explore Christian colleges and universities. And we have a number of virtual college fairs coming up starting Monday and running through February 18th. So you can go to virtualchristiancollegefairs.com and get more information there. You can come to nacap.org, naccap.org. You can go to myblueprintstory.com, or any of these 4 will be happy to help you. And really, they are so excited about the opportunities that are available on their campuses. If you want to do a deeper dive into Houghton College in Western New York, Cornerstone University in Grand Rapids, Michigan area, or Bethel University in the Mishawaka, South Bend area of Indiana, or out in the most perfect weather in the country, San Diego, California, San Diego Christian College. But thank you to you four, and thanks for everybody attending tonight. It's been a pleasure. And if you need to reach out to me, it's chant, C-H-A-N-T, at nacap.org. So all of our contact is streamlined to be as easy as possible to hunt us down if you need to and desire to, and we'd be happy to help you in this journey of exploring Christian higher education.
Yeah.
Thank you for your encouragement and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Well,
Bye.
Have a great night.